welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am bizarrely Chat Show. How are you? How have you been? You don't write, you don't call. We're coming to you live, as always, these days from the West Side Comedy Theater. If you're ever in the west side of the Los Angeles, California area, do yourself a solid. Come down and check out some shows. Dana Carvey here tonight. You missed that, dumbass. Thanks to Sean Casey and the gang who let us set up camp here on a regular basis to come live to you. Speaking of live, do you watch us live? Write to us, let us know, you son of a bitch. Yeah. You. Write to us at, what is it? KPCSfanmail@gmail.com. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Sure. KPCSfanmail@gmail.com. Amazing guest today that long time in the works. We've sort of been threatening each other. I want you to do the show. I want to do your show. And then, much like Tom Hanks, 4 years later, here she is. We'll get to her in a minute. Next Sunday, Jane Lynch, the unstoppable talent. Then the following week, the 13th, we were going to have Jeff Goldblum on. He's been pushed to April, and I'll tell you why. We're doing our 7th anniversary live on stage at Largo de Coronet. Sunday, April 17th, Jeff Goldblum, Colin Hay, and arguably the top touring stand-up comedian today, Bill Burr, arguably. Surely wins my vote. We'll come back here March 20th for Jay Ferguson. Did you enjoy Stan Rizzi?
Rizzo.
Rizzi
is my grandmother's maiden
That's why
name.
I fuck it up.
That's why you're thinking of that.
Stan Rizzo from the Mad Men program, Jay Ferguson. He's on a new show. We'll tell you all about that when he gets here. That's on March 20th. And March 27th, Jamie Lee Fitness, otherwise known as Jamie Lee Curtis to you and yours. That'll be Easter Sunday. Some of you go through the library, you'll see we had an Easter Sunday show with Henry Winkler, during which, live, an earthquake. Yep. And he pounded the table and the earthquake stopped because he was the Fonz. Check out the library on the iTunes, on the YouTube, on the Earwolf. How do you do the show? Let us know. KPCSfanmail@gmail.com. Jamie, how are you? Are you excited about tonight?
I am, just for the food.
Yeah. So we should go through quickly the food puns for the Oscar viewing.
So my friends like to do an Oscar party every year, and then they make the food comprised of puns from the nominated films. Mm-hmm. And as soon as Bridge of Spies came out,
you saw the billboard.
Like in November or whatever it was, I was like, I'm building a Bridge of Pies.
Bridge
Bridge of Pies.
Sure.
So I made the cutest little individual fruit pies last night, and Corey, who sometimes sits next to me, made a bridge. So there will be a bridge of pies.
Yep.
But our main dish is the plate out of Compton.
Plate out of Compton, wait for it.
Which is comprised of the big short ribs.
The big short ribs.
Yes. Mad Max and cheese.
Uh-huh.
And Steve Cobbs.
Steve Cobbs.
Yes. Yes, I'm very excited.
That's
like
pretty
this,
great.
This is going to be a feast.
Hateful Eight.
Oh, Hateful 8-layer dip. I like that one too.
Hateful 8-layer dip.
Yeah.
That's a winner. That's
It'll be
going to be a
feast.
crowd favorite.
There you go.
So that's exciting, and we're good to go on that.
Yeah.
You just
Pies
have
are
to,
all good to go.
Yeah.
Spent 2 hours yesterday. Had to watch 4 Simpsons episodes.
Oh, geez. Sam Levine not here. I'll let you be the judge at home, wherever you are, as to whether that's a good or bad thing. Subscribe to us. I'm just going to ask you, point blank, write a review on the YouTube. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. I love to read your emails. I've got a few I'd like to read today. I may not. But I would love to hear from you. All right. That is the fanfare I believe we have for now. Let's get to our guest, please. You know, I always think about what to say in the introduction, and today I just thought, you know what? It's said all right here beautifully on the cover of her damn book. Kenny, why don't you go ahead and zoom in on that cover? Let's show folks what they can... I got the hardcover here. Is there a paperback?
Not yet.
Not yet. I'm excited about it. Did you get it? Yeah. See? They don't make people funnier or more clever than Carol Leifer. She's insightful, big-hearted, and a brilliant writer, said J.J. Abrams.
Paid endorsement.
Yeah, these are all. Judd Apatow said the best memoir of the year, not written by the victim or of a horrible crime. I should read these correctly.
Funny.
Funny.
He did the right thing.
He
He's
did.
funny.
Yeah, he did the right thing.
Yeah, you got to be funny even in your blurbs.
Yeah, don't just be appreciative.
Right.
J.J. Abrams. Bill Maher wrote, Carol has seen it all and done it all. And lucky for us, she was taking notes.
Wrote it for him.
Your friend and mine, how we might have met originally, we'll get to that if either of us can remember. Jerry Seinfeld wrote, if you don't buy this right now, you've got to be a total schmuck. I love to intimidate the consumer.
Right. He got right to the point.
Yeah.
Don't
be an asshole.
Right.
Buy the book.
Yeah.
And then this is kind of nice. This is really nice from Sarah Silverman. When I was 17, I read a profile of Carol Leifer. Since then, I wanted to be here. I still want to be here.
I double-checked that fact with her to make sure if she still wanted to be me.
Yes.
And she said yes, so I was doubly impressed.
So are you going to check in with her every year?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll check in maybe every 6 months.
Oh, well. Why?
Do you still want to be me?
Why wait?
It's Carol. It's mid-year.
Chris Rock really broke a nail on this one. Carol Leifer is funny, really funny.
Yeah, he's hard. He's the second time I've went to him for a blurb, and I've gone to him for a blurb. He's very difficult to get something out of.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm happy to give you a blurb. And one of them was, for my first book, the best rack of a female comedian. And I was like, Chris, as complimented as I am, can't really go to my publisher with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so many more. Please welcome Carol Leifer. Carol!
Yes, hold your applause.
Now you've been
no one here.
You've been in the wings before on the big Oscar night as the writer many times.
I have 7 times.
7?
Yep.
Tonight?
Not tonight.
No. Because of the rack between you and Chris Rock.
I didn't get the gig this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I've written for him before. Not this year.
Sure.
He brought a whole crew from New York and swept us people from the West Coast out. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah.
You know
Wished him luck.
Yes.
Of course, you gotta. It's a big gig.
Now, I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah.
We're going to go through the Oscar picks at some point just for shits and giggles.
Oh, okay, because
But I'm going to make a prediction about Chris's monologue.
Yeah.
He's going to make some reference to making fun of the Academy that he's a token, and then he's going to go after Jada. I actually think he's going to go after Jada.
Wow.
In this way.
Okay.
Us missing Jada is like blank missing me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, no one cares that she's boycotting.
Uh-huh.
Because she wasn't invited anyways.
That's
sort
interesting.
of thing.
Okay.
I think he's gonna give shit to the Academy. And referring to himself as token in his own brilliant way.
Yes.
And then he's gonna go after her.
I'm gonna bet you he's not even gonna mention Jada Pinkett Smith. I'll even bet you $100 on that.
Really?
Yeah. Want to do it?
Yes.
$100.
Okay.
It's not mentioned.
Not mentioned at all.
Not mentioned at all.
Now, do you have any inside skinny on this?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I really wish I did, and I could have just really.
Yeah, that would have been like one of those great things from the Twilight Zone where you
I know. I did Kevin Pollak's podcast, and I knew already I made $100. No,
Kenny, is
I
this
wouldn't
yours,
do
by
that.
It was left here on the desk.
Yeah, and
not
could
that I
you
don't want
maybe
to. Yeah.
the straw wrapper.
So there's that,
trash.
and then there's that.
Yeah.
Nicely done. And
Now, here's what
yes,
that's a
please.
good bet.
So it's $100. It's locked.
He even mentions her once. You won, and I'm good on my bets. I'll give you cash.
Oh, I'll find you.
Okay.
Sure.
No, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna do great because I know he hired. It's like 17 people, and you know when you have great joke writers, that's like at least 100 jokes from each person.
Yeah.
So that's 1,700 jokes to choose from, and as you know, with an Oscar monologue, it's got to be all tens. You know what I mean?
Sure.
10, and he'll get that. So I think it's going to be good.
And you've been there in the bullpen 7 times.
Yes.
So it's the 1,700 jokes ahead of time.
Right.
For the host to choose from. And then there's usually a handful of you in the wings, literally.
Yes.
So when the host comes off stage, I don't think the folks at home know this, when the host comes off stage, You just start spitballing based on what's already happened and what's coming up.
Exactly. And it's really fun and thrilling when you're there and you pitch jokes to the host and they literally have, a matter of seconds to kind of gauge the joke and then go out and see which one was picked.
Yeah.
And when yours is picked, it's a pretty rock star feeling. I have to say, in the last few years that I've done it, I haven't been over there in the wings. They've put me in the green room with the presenters, which is not as much fun, but I respect that they know that it's a certain skill with the presenters in the green room, because you have to go over the copy with them, and you also have to be a little bit of a taskmaster with the presenters of if they want to change things, kind of trying to,
a little bit of panic.
Encourage them not to do that at this point. But also, I think what's nice about them having put me in the green room a lot is, and you know this because we're performers, we know the stress and the anxiety, especially for an actor, to go out in front of 1 billion people. So I really also have a genuine compassion for the talent, even though they're giant movie stars, of their fear and that, and I've always felt I have a sense of the gauge of it.
That makes sense completely. Do you suppose, on average, their panic and anxiety leads to them doubting, questioning the joke material that's been given to them, or relieved that something's been written for them?
It kind of comes down to 3 categories. You have the celebrity who's just very easygoing, happy to be there. Oh, this is my copy, I'm happy to do it. Hi, what's your name? Oh, thank you for writing this.
Name 1 or 2 of those, if you can remember.
I remember Jeremy Irons as being do you know him?
No, but I just love that he was
really
a team
cool
player.
Yeah, great, this is it, thank you. Hi, nice to see you. A pro. Even, what's her name? Married to Michael Douglas. Catherine Zeta-Jones, another pro, doing her own makeup before she...
Fantastic.
Yeah, like a real showbiz kind of person. Then you have other people that are like, well, I don't know about this, but I'd like to do my own thing. And this is, they do their own thing.
Which is never good. Rarely good.
Sometimes, like Ben Stiller writes his own thing a lot, and he's brilliant. I mean, you can't argue with what he does. It's brilliant, and it's like
well, I could argue it, but that's a whole other thing.
But then other people do their own thing, and then this is the worst. Then they go out there, and when it tanks, goes, well, this is written for me.
Yeah, I'm just reading the...
Right, which is not
That's
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. The ego that says, you guys are professionals. No, not interested in what you've given me. I'm going to do my own thing. It tanks. I blame the writer.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Well, it's part of Hollywood, isn't it?
Yes, it certainly is.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous part of show business.
And then you have people who collaborate with the writer, who's great to work with and really want their thing to be awesome and collaborate, and it's great. And
people come, do they ever, like Will Ferrell, I remember a couple of years, or at least one, just comes with like a sketch, basically, that he's going to come out in some sort of costume or something.
I have never worked with Will, but he's so funny, and
he's one of those guys you would probably let
when
him
someone
do
you really encourage, you want people to do their own thing, because someone like him is so funny. I mean, even like someone like Sandra Bullock, who I wrote something for, and I went over her sort of sheepishly to say, like, I wrote something, it's, mishigas is a Yiddish word, so maybe you, she was like, I know the word mishigas is Jewish, okay? I got it. Okay?
Sandra Bullock, a Jewess.
Yes. And another one in the category of the nicest, sweetest, oh, this is what you wrote, thank you. What's your name? That kind of thing.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah. It's really been mostly incredibly great experiences. And I'm as starstruck as anybody when I do these things. I'm still,
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Here's another cute little interesting, since it's Oscar Sunday, story.
Yes.
My wife and I adopted our son from Guatemala, and honestly, we were inspired by Angelina Jolie. Her story when she was started adopting children from foreign countries. We went to her adoption doctor, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, one year I was writing on the show, she was in the green room. I didn't want to just bother her with some, and I told the talent person, I said, I'm kicking myself. I didn't feel it was professional. I wanted to go over to her and tell her how much she inspired us, and we adopted our son. She said, send me an email, I'll send it to her. I said, great. I figured I'll never hear back, but at least I wrote this email. day later, I get an email from Angelina Jolie that was so nice and saying, I thank you for sending me that email. I'm so glad my story inspired you to adopt. I sent her a picture of our son. The nicest thing. So I like when things like that happen because it's just the fun part of show business. And, you know, when stars, they're just like us, not just in Us Magazine. You know, I love when you see that quality in people. It's really inspiring.
I love that quality in them, and I love that quality in you. I share it, which is it doesn't matter who we've been around or what we've accomplished. We still get the same thrill as when we were 14 years old.
Yes.
For
yes,
sure.
Right.
Yeah, and it's so sad when someone loses that, because how? What happened? Mm-hmm. What happened?
Yeah.
This business you so desperately wanted to be in. I mean, imagine if you rise to the very tippy, then when you're one of them, then maybe like I've worked with ridiculously A+.
Yes.
As the
kings and queens of show business, Kevin.
As the supporting actor. Yes. So
who are you most thrilled, do you think? I'd be interested to know someone you met who you're like, oh, I'm pinching myself. I can't believe I'm meeting this person, or working with them.
Greatest compliment I ever got came from one of those moments.
Really?
And that's the only interaction we've had. Leaving the Golden Globes party, unless you leave early.
Yeah.
Is like the 4:05 at 4:45 p.m. on a Thursday.
Yeah.
You don't move, and you're just stuck there. And I found myself stuck trying to get out, standing next to my favorite actor of his generation, Mr. Gene Hackman.
Wow.
Who's one of the greatest that will ever be.
Yes.
And we're just stuck there. So there's a couple of nods and smiles of niceties between us. And then finally I just couldn't stand it. And I said, I don't even remember exactly, but it was something to the tune of, "You're the greatest I am a lifetime devoted fan of yours." Because remember, however I phrased it, it allowed him to say, and even if it was a nicety, "and I of yours." And that's all I got.
Wow.
And that's all I ever wanted.
Oh my God.
And again, even if it was just being polite, because that's the way he was raised, I'll take it. Yeah.
Well, I don't think someone offers that up unless they have seen you and enjoyed you. So that I feel like obviously there was a true compliment.
And he's also has a bit of a reputation as being one of those guys who doesn't suffer fools.
Oh.
So it would have been very easily for him to just smile.
Yeah.
And take the compliment.
Right.
And say nothing. Some of those. Warren Beatty also.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Yeah. Him and Clinton both, the two guys, male or female, you just want to instantly sleep with them when you meet them and they shake your hand.
Yes, even if you're not.
Nope, doesn't matter.
On the
no
other
interest.
team. Yeah, Clinton I've met and I felt the same way.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. How
so magnetic.
Magnetic, but also I think they both chose to find a way, by design, to make you feel like you're the only person that matters on the planet in that moment.
Yes.
I think it's by design. I don't think it's just natural or just part of their magnetism.
I don't know. I feel I can't talk about Warren Beatty, but with Clinton, I felt like it's just something in their DNA. They're just people.
Yeah.
They just know how to connect with people.
Right.
And speak well and have you, whatever
Yes.
you want me to do, Bill Clinton, which led to Monica Lewinsky, I guess. But you know what I mean? It's just really someone who is compelling to the nth degree. I met Paul McCartney and I did work a little bit on what I was going to say to him, which I feel very good about when I met him.
You had enough time?
I did have enough time because Jay Leno, this is when he was with Heather Mills.
Sure.
And it was a benefit for the landmines thing, and Jay was emceeing, so I said to Jay beforehand, like, will you please, I'll introduce you to Paul McCartney. And when I met him, first I said to him, I was at Shea Stadium, and so I'm sure, and then he said to me the joke that I'm sure he said a million times to people. He said, oh, that was you.
Yeah.
Funny.
Sure.
And then I said, your music has built a foundation of joy in my life. And he said, well, that's really very touching. Thank you very much. And I was really glad that I got to say something crafted to him.
As opposed to just the...
Yeah.
Are you okay? You look a little ooby-dooby. There's a little quote from Dana Carvey, who will be here again later
Ooby-dooby.
tonight. You've got the ooby-doobies.
Is my big straw freaking the camera out? I brought a straw from Starbucks, but I brought the extra large straw.
Sure.
But if it's not,
Listen.
yeah.
It's clear you'd like the attention to be elsewhere. Let's go to your earliest childhood memory, please.
Seriously?
Yep.
Earliest childhood
Earliest.
memory. Oh my God.
Because I struggle with this one myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember being wheeled around in a, they didn't call them strollers then.
No, they didn't.
In a carriage, and smelling the nice air on Long Island, and lifting my head out and like, I know I'm moving, but where am I again? And looking around.
Even then, not great with directions.
Not great with directions. No, I told you. That's right. Told you. It's really, it's DNA level. That's really my, What was yours?
I struggle with it. I really do. I can't pinpoint it. I have a handful of memories and have no idea which one came first.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like kindergarten orientation sort of thing. So not infant in a carriage or even 2-year-old.
Yeah.
It's about 4.5 is when I'm first starting to visualize things. I talked to my brother about this. I struggle with, I can't remember a non-event, just family dinner at home.
You can't remember
I can't picture us as a family.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can picture it, but
Right.
I can't remember an actual non-event, just an average Wednesday
Really?
dinner at home with the family.
Huh.
No recollections at all. What the
Wow.
hell is that?
Yeah. And you talked to your brother about that.
Yeah.
Did he have any?
He said, they were so uneventful. They were so uneventful every single night
Yeah.
that I can understand why none of them stuck.
Uh-huh.
I can remember big Passover dinners with relatives.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I think what's interesting now as a parent, because our son is about to turn 10, is, we've gotten into bowling just because.
Us too. Love it. Can't get enough.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah.
And he's into it and he loves it and we do it. And then I was thinking when we've been bowling with him, like, the image of my parents bowling with us when I was growing up, it'd be like, what the hell are you doing here? Why aren't you outside picking me up? You know what I mean? Like, our parents did nothing with us ever.
Huh. Yeah. Same here.
And we turned out okay. And yet, isn't it so odd now, the way that you parent is all these activities that when
Yes.
we were growing up, it was only kids around.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Was that Charlie in the trees just now? What was that? Were you remembering or relating?
No, Jason just texted me at all caps bowling.
Oh.
And I know that's when Homer gets his gun out and he goes, I know how I'll do marketing for the bowling alley. And he comes out with a shotgun and he goes, bowling, get your bowling gear, bowling.
It's either Seinfeld or Simpsons quotes with these two.
Oh, really?
All day and all night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What was the show for you? Did you have movies or shows? Because I try to remember the stuff that my friends and I quoted nonstop talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like page 28 from Mario Puzo's The Godfather.
Uh-huh.
Between my best friend and I, we would just say page 28.
For me, it was my dad wanted to be a comedian
Yes.
really badly.
Yes.
And imparted this love of comedy to me.
Albums, yeah.
So the albums that he would play in the house.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I do think, it's so easy to be older and say, when we were growing up, this was better. And, I will say categorically that when we were growing up, you were captive to what your parents played in the house.
Yeah.
That was it. There were nobody had their own.
Earbuds.
Yeah. So I feel so lucky that my parents played, Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, 2,000-Year-Old Man, The First Family, Alan Sherman records.
Herb Albert.
Yeah. I mean, all that stuff, was such a great education.
Sure.
So I feel really privileged that I was
the
raised by
shorthand.
people with good taste, you know. So I remember that a lot. I remember But I really remember laughter in my house, which I think is such a great memory to have of growing up, because you know that sound that we hear in comedy clubs, that you hear when you go to a great comedy movie or whatever, there's no substitute for that.
Yeah, it's involuntary, which makes it magical.
Yeah.
You can't stop it and you can't fake it.
And watching my dad tell jokes and captivating people, and the power of that performance really stuck with me.
Yeah. I had the opposite. My dad was the great audience, the great listener, not a performer in any way, shape, or form.
No, huh?
Yeah. My mom was at some age became the sun, and we were mere planets revolving around her.
S-U-N, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I love this quote from your mom. It was a comment to you after you hit a squirrel while driving a car. Do you remember this?
I do.
What did you say?
Well, my mom is a shrink, so I talk about how it's hard for them to lose they always have the shrink hat on. So when I was practicing driving in high school and I hit a squirrel, my mom said, "Don't worry about it, Carol. The squirrel clearly displayed suicidal tendencies." So.
But hilarious.
Yeah.
To a 16-year-old, the squirrel clearly
Yes, she was
displayed
funny.
suicidal tendencies.
Right. So don't put it on yourself.
As a way to snap a kid out of that horrible moment of crunch.
Yes.
Yikes.
No, she was good at her job.
Yeah. Your earliest stand-up comedy moment was in college? First?
Yeah, I had a really great, and I want to ask you about how you got into stand-up, because I always ask every stand-up how that moment happened. I went to college with Paul Reiser, who was my boyfriend in college.
There's a picture of the two of you in the book that is just spectacular. He looks a little like Harold Ramis with the giant Jufro and glasses.
Right, exactly.
Again, by the way, the name of the book, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Crying.
Yeah, pick it up.
Yeah.
You really need to, Kevin's audience.
She doesn't mean me pick it up, but I'm going to pick it up anyway.
You pick it up too, just to show the
Lessons
audience.
from a life in comedy.
Yeah.
It really is, what I've read of it, because I got it yesterday. I didn't have time to read the whole thing. Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. So Paul Reiser, we were in school together. We were in a comedy, Hinman Little Theater, it was called, in Binghamton. And Paul...
Upstate New York.
Yeah, and Paul told me I do stand-up comedy in Manhattan at these comedy clubs. I go to their audition nights. Now, comedy clubs were like new then. So I was thinking, like, this guy goes to nightclubs? Who is he, like Vic Damone? Like going out to clubs? And he went to Catch a Rising Star in the comic strip, and I watched him do it.
You're both 18, 19?
19.
Wow.
Yeah, 20. And then I decided I wanted to put together 5 minutes.
So you went and saw him?
Which I did. I saw him first.
Right.
Big surprise, a complete natural.
Yeah.
Great at it right away. And then...
Even at 19, he said, just one more thing and then I'm going to drive you folks home.
If there's anybody more suited for stand-up, it couldn't be, it's got to be him. Anyway, I went on the audition at the comic strip, and the MC that night who would go through the audition was Jerry Seinfeld. And the auditioners that night were myself, Paul Reiser, and Rich Hall. And we all passed, and we were called the Trilogy of New Regulars. So I always say to Paul, and we're still close friends, I always say, if we never met, if we didn't have that connection, I don't know if I would have found that to the clubs of New York. Now, where's the first place you ever went on to do stand-up?
Well, I started at 10 years old.
Can you hold on a minute? What?
Yeah, no. I was caught by my mom lip-syncing Bill Cosby's first album.
Oh, wow.
No idea he was so rapey. My mom and dad brought home the first album and played it on the stereo hi-fi, and everybody listened and laughed unconditionally.
Wow.
And watching my parents laugh. When nobody was around, I listened to the album over and over and over again, to the point where I eventually stood up in front of it and was lip-syncing. Didn't know what lip-syncing was, didn't think I created it. I was just being interactive. but doing it all alone, never thinking I'm going to do this for people.
Right.
And then she caught me one day and said, "You're doing that for the Zookers at Passover."
Really?
Yeah. So I did it in front of the family first.
Uh-huh.
And it's, a little 10-year-old precocious Jewish kid
Must have
lip-syncing
killed.
Cosby's Noah and the Ark routine.
Uh-huh.
The material's there. I just have to clear my throat the same moment he does. I think you guys in your book talk about how you used to lip-sync a 2,000-year-old man.
Yeah, could
Around the
totally
house.
lip sync
Yeah.
a 2,000-year-old man, but also in high school, lip synced "Heard It Through the Grapevine"
Sure.
by Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie, you have a big lip sync opportunity coming up March 2nd here at the West Side Comedy Theater.
I am. That's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to mention what I would mimic.
What would that have been?
It was Marty Feldman from Young Frankenstein. I would put my chin on the kitchen counter and sing "I Ain't Got No Body." That was mine.
Yeah. See, everyone's got them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Jerry Lewis lip sync to Danny Kaye album. I mean, this has been around forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once I was caught doing that, then it was, I'm going to take this to strangers, and I did it in school, and I did just that from age 11 through 16.
Uh-huh.
Whatever the father-daughter dinner dance, folk festival, whatever the show was in middle school and high school. They'd wheel out the Kevin Pollak act. And it wasn't until I was a senior I started doing impersonations and put the album away.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I started doing clubs, I think,
In San Francisco, right?
well, I was raised in San Jose, born in
Okay.
San Francisco, started my stand-up career really in San Francisco
Uh-huh.
when I moved back there.
What club? Was it the Other Cafe? Because I think that's where we might have met.
Is that right?
I think so.
I was hoping you could pinpoint it, because I'm horrible at that.
It might have been.
I remember Elaine Boozler only because, and I'm just that shallow to mention another meeting a female comedian.
Well, we were
opened
like
up for
that
her
back
at the,
then.
Yeah, there was 3 of you.
Yeah.
And then Sue Kalinsky came in a little later.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I remember because I opened up for her and I had this horrible shit joke in my act. And she came up to me afterwards and said, "Listen, if you're going to open up for me, could we not do the shit joke?"
Oh.
Yeah. And I didn't do it ever again, and I appreciated the
Wait,
heads
was
up.
it a joke about shit, or it was a joke that was shit?
Haha.
No, I'm serious. I'm genuinely asking.
Yeah, no, it actually was a joke that I imagine 7,500 versions exist out there, which is simply at a friend's party and the toilet overflows.
Okay, so it was a joke about
The
shit.
panic of being in the bathroom
Or you could
and
say
your
it was
own
both.
feces is rising to meet you, and yeah. And yeah,
But
just
if
I need
those
a
things,
clarification, that's all.
yeah, sure, I can appreciate.
those things stay with you. The thing that somebody,
Yes.
like I remember auditioning at Cash Rising Star and doing innocently a joke about cutting off the mattress tag and say, getting caught by the police and blah, 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 and it did well and I came off. And David Say, who was the king of Cash Rising Star at the time, made a beeline for me and was like, honey, that's a Lenny Bruce bit. You don't steal from people like that. And I was like, oh, okay, Mr. Say. I had no idea that,
You hadn't stolen it.
Yeah.
No, it was those things float out there that are just.
Right.
In fact, when the Amy Schumer thing blew up and people were showing side-by-side comparisons, I
Yeah.
said, these are unbelievably easy topics
Uh-huh.
and unbelievably easy jokes about those topics. And I remember our friend Leno saying, it doesn't matter you doing a joke about McDonald's, just make sure it's the best joke about McDonald's. And I remember Jay telling me who won't be named, did one of my jokes in front of 1 billion people on the Academy Awards. And I said, my fear is when I do this joke in my act, people are going to yell, "You're stealing that from
Right.
the person who did it at the
Yeah.
Academy Awards."
What joke was it?
It's actually one of the few jokes I ever wrote
Uh-huh.
that was really, really, I was fond of it. My uncle was a faith healer.
Yeah.
Of course, he was a Jewish faith healer, so it was a little different. He would heal you by comparing his illnesses to yours.
That's funny. Who did that joke?
He said, you sprained your ankle? I have a growth on my colon the size of your face. How do you feel now, Mr. Ankle? So that was done on the Academy Awards. So I asked Jay, I'm concerned because it's one of the few jokes that I ever wrote that I think is funny. And I want to keep doing it, but I know people are going to think I stole it from the person who stole it from me. And he said, "Oh yeah, you want to know what you should do? Well, I'll tell you what you should do. You should write a new joke."
Yeah.
And just move on. Just if your concern is real, then let it go. It's over.
Yeah, it's a tough.
If you don't want someone to yell that out, then, and of course he was right. Yeah. So,
I don't think people realize a lot of, either somebody takes a joke or it happens. There are unwitting examples of it.
Yes.
Like my starting out, like I didn't listen to Lenny Bruce as a 20-year-old,
Exactly. Yeah. And the premise, I think, comes to any naturally funny person when they see the tag or hear about these tags on mattresses that say, do not remove.
Right.
Or criminal offense. And what even slightly funny person doesn't go, come on.
Yeah, there's something, I think there's something here. But it's interesting you brought up Elaine Boozler because she was completely my inspiration to want to get into stand-up,
In what way? You saw her at...
Are you taking a text now?
No, I'm actually turning my phone on an airplane mode because I realized I hadn't done that. Taking a text now. That would be spectacular. Go ahead, Carol.
My mother...
The camera's on you.
She was... You must remember that time she was like hot as a pistol. And I remember because growing up in New York, she was on the cover of New York Magazine. And it was like a big deal. And... She
was closer to Robert Klein...
It was like Robert Klein, and then
just before Leno and Jerry.
I think around the same time probably as Leno, but she was. It was seeing her was like a revelation, as opposed to like the Joan Rivers style of comedy, and then like, oh, here's like a young single woman in the world kind of doing stand-up comedy. It was really kind of revolutionary.
Right.
And seeing her do it made me feel like, oh, I can do this. And every time I see her, I always say that.
But she was doing a woman's point of view.
Yeah.
Right.
And think, not from a, am I right, ladies kind of way.
Right.
Where it segmented the audience. She was doing it in her own, comedy from her own perspective, like a single woman.
Which has been attributed to your style of comedy.
Oh.
Which is to not, am I right, ladies?
Yeah.
And segregate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's nice.
I just saw it in the research. It's not really my opinion.
Did I put that on my Wikipedia page?
And Larry David was the MC at Catch when you first auditioned there.
Yes, right.
You also acquired a lifelong fan at the comic strip named David Letterman.
Letterman.
One of your first shows there happened to be in a room.
Right.
And said, whatever she wants, kid. Room comped, meals comped.
Yeah.
Set her up.
No, I was lucky. I mean, can you imagine
who
goes out? Yeah, who goes out to clubs, these hosts? They're busy enough.
Right.
Yeah, he saw me and it was great. It led to 25 appearances.
And your earliest memory of me?
My earliest memory of Kevin Pollak. Let's see. I remember it's either at the other cafe that we met.
You came through San Francisco.
Yeah.
Right.
But I remember when I was writing on SNL, you came to New York and we had lunch or coffee or something.
Yeah. Was Dana Carvey on the show at that point?
No.
No, it would have been before that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So I don't know how we hooked that up, but that happened.
See, again, this is why I have people on from my life so I can remember what happened.
Yeah. But you also were different because you weren't just a straight impressionist.
Yeah.
You did stand-up, your own stand-up with the impressions, which was different, young people, for the time.
Yeah. And I also, my mentors were the, what if Jack Nicholson were a busboy, it might go something like this.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to break away from that and say, you can never do that. I mean, there were comedy albums where we're at a Hollywood party. Oh, look over there. There's Jimmy Stewart. Hello, Jimmy. How are you? Oh, it's a good party. Have you tried the lemonade? Yeah, just these horrible things. And the idea was, what is the way to personalize any of this?
Right. Who do you think was the greatest impressionist?
Well, of my generation, Dana Carvey and I started out together, and we could throw it to Rich Little, Frank Gorshin, Fred Travellino was certainly. None of these guys were funny, necessarily.
Uh-huh.
They were great technicians. You know, Rich Little Dana and I learned Art Carson from watching him. David Fry's Nixon album was, oh my God, it was as big as The First Family.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. So, yeah, I would say David Fry, and he was, I think he had good writers and he was funny. But I never thought of him as a stand-up. I just thought of him from that comedy album.
And it's funny, I don't even think of him as an impressionist as much as Nixon. He just did.
Right.
He
did a Nixon album.
Yeah.
And he had other people play all the other parts.
Right.
Whereas Rich Little would run through 30, 40 great impressions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess George Kirby did some great ones. There was a show called Copycats. Remember Copycats? It was a sketch show featuring just impressionists.
I think I don't think I saw it.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing about it.
Sure. John Biner.
John Biner,
Yeah.
one of my Facebook friends. Hi, John.
Is that right?
Yes.
Loved me, John Biner. Yeah, just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good.
He was a straight stand-up also. Now in San Francisco where I started, you would open up for a ton of music acts, you being myself and others.
Yeah.
Bill Graham's venues, so I opened up for Pat Benatar on her first tour,
Right,
the Manhattan
right.
Transfer, Bette Midler.
Yes.
Anything similar like that in New York when you were coming up?
Yeah.
Sure, and you opened up for?
I opened up for the Beach Boys.
Sure, of course. And
But and I write about it extensively in my book, Kevin.
an arena kind of setting?
Well,
It's the Beach Boys.
here's the story of it, because here's the ending, the worst experience of my stand-up career to date.
Wow.
I was on Letterman.
Yeah.
I think it was my third appearance. And Carl Wilson, this story is so old that Carl Wilson from the Beach Boys has passed away. Carl Wilson saw me and liked me on Letterman and got in touch with my agent and wanted me to open for the Beach Boys in Lake Tahoe over Christmas week.
At Caesars.
Harris.
Sure.
I was still green. I was not casino ready, Kevin, and you know what that means.
I do. I
You
opened up
gotta
for
be-
Marilyn McCoo at Caesars in
Yeah,
Tahoe.
it's not just walking out in a comedy club. You gotta have your shit down. You gotta know what you're doing.
Also, were you doing clubs coast to coast at this point?
I don't know about the coast to coast part.
That's what I mean. Lake Tahoe's kind of removed from
Yeah.
the New York comedy scene.
I was touring and doing things, but I wasn't ready for a casino quite yet.
We need you to do 20 minutes. If you do 19 or 21, I'll have your head removed.
Yeah, right. People don't know that at casinos they are super strict about keeping your time so that everyone else can go out and gamble.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was not an easy gig for several reasons. The first being the Beach Boys would tune up while I was on.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. You made that
Oh,
up.
yes, they did. And to the point
Behind
where...
a scrim?
Behind the
But not with
scrim.
amplifiers.
Ding, 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 ding. You know, my dog has fleas, that kind of thing. To the point where no agent, no manager with me, had to go to say, Beach Boys, could you please not tune up while I'm on stage? So that happened.
You would gather them as a group so that you could refer to them as
I
Beach
got them
Boys.
piecemeal.
Okay.
As I would gather them around. I know you see the other guys. Can you ask them?
Hey, Beach Boy.
Yeah. And then culminating on a New Year's Eve show where crowd was drunk, rowdy, no one policing the room
No.
from Harris. Frat boys down front pulling on my mic, Kevin, pulling on my mic like it was
God.
a fishing line, chanting reefer, 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 play on my last name. And
Reefer Leefer, what is this, 1970s?
it's 1982.
1982.
Yeah.
Someone's birth year, yeah.
And there you go. And that was the worst experience I've ever, nothing has ever equaled it, which I know I have a low. I have a low point. you
Sure.
know.
And there's been a few run-ups, but no one even got
that was
close.
it's as bad as it could get.
Yeah, and your takeaway, there was nothing good about it. Nothing good came from it.
No, as I talk about in my, no, really, they're all experiences
Yeah.
that toughen you up.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I had to get some comebacks to guys in the audience heckling me, because that would happen a lot,
Yeah.
which I did, and
Yeah.
I got from men who helped me.
You got sage advice about how to handle male hecklers.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I love this advice.
Yeah.
Leno, again?
I'm not exactly sure who it was, but I remember asking someone to watch me, a guy, because I'm like, I'm kind of on thin ice here. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And he took me aside afterwards. He said, here's the comeback for you when men come in and they're hassling you. When they're men and they're by themselves, all you have to say to them is, so where are the dates tonight, guys?
Yeah.
Are they still parking the car? What's going on?
Right.
And that I wouldn't know that as a woman, but a guy knew that's the thing that's going to shut him down.
Yeah.
And it did, and it still does.
Yeah.
And you just got to go for the.
A confident woman will turn just about any man into his mother is scolding him,
Yeah,
and
right.
he will curl up and die.
Because it's all about, well, you're here with other guys tonight. You don't have a date. And that became the thing to zoom in on.
Yeah. It is those little tiny things. I had a 6'8" guy in the front row heckling me uncontrollably,
Yeah.
unpoliced. And eventually, I remember him getting out of his chair and me thinking, oh, good, this is over. And then I see something out of the corner of my eye, and he's made his way to the side of the stage, and he's walking out towards me. Because I just went after him
Right.
aggressively to try to shut him down. And his option was, I thought, to leave. No,
Yeah.
he's coming on stage. And I just see this mountain walking towards me.
Oh my God.
And I thought, I think I'm going to be killed in front of
Right,
an audience.
yeah.
These will be witnesses. And then I quickly gave him the microphone and jumped off the stage and sat in his seat and heckled him.
Oh,
So
brilliant.
well, it all came to me in the moment.
Yeah.
First I was just fleeing.
Right.
And then I saw his open seat and I thought, oh, I've got to be witness to this. Maybe the audience will think it's funny that I sat in his chair. And then once he started actually trying, anybody can do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Then
that
then
is good.
Yeah. Then it was.
That is good.
Then it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny the sage advice. When I was first coming to San Francisco, Marty Cohen,
Marty Cohen, yes.
who went on to become Party Hardy Marty on Solid Gold, the TV show.
Yeah.
He was part of the Make Me Laugh crew with Mike Binder and those guys.
Okay.
Baby Bruce Baum,
Yes.
Baby Man. Marty Cohen was a big influence in the San Francisco comedy scene when I first came up. And he saw my act the first time and said, when your material catches up with your confidence on stage, you're going to be incredible.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I started at 10, by the time I'm 20 doing,
Yeah.
I was wildly comfortable on stage with not a lot of material. Just all this confidence.
Well, it's funny how a good word like that from somebody big can really
Yeah.
keep you sailing. I had that with Leno. I was cursing a lot in my act because people don't realize that you're getting easy laughs off of cursing.
Sure.
And
The crutch of.
yeah, and he came over and he said, and you'll do a better impression than me because I won't even attempt impression. But you're good, but you're cursing too much. You should try to keep it clean.
You don't need the crutch.
Yeah.
I remember him telling me that one night in between a commercial break, saying, why do you go to the Jew thing?
Yeah.
You don't need that.
Uh-huh.
You
Oh,
know?
I'm surprised you said that about the Jew thing.
Well, because I had said it as a crutch.
Uh-huh.
When in fact I'm not terribly religious, so what's the point? Yeah, it's interesting the Carson experience you talk about in the book. That doesn't exist anymore. Of a show, a host knighting an act and changing their life.
Yeah.
In a moment. There seems to be an okay amount of stage time for new comedians on these shows. There's still a venue,
Yeah.
but they're not being plucked and knighted like they once were by the king.
Yeah, right. Freddie Prinze did an appearance on The Tonight Show, and then bam, he's got his own sitcom the next week.
Well, he at 19 was the youngest to guest host.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I did a little
learning.
study recently a year ago or more, But he had this crazy white hot 3 years. And 19 on the Tonight Show. Less than 6 weeks later, he's guest hosting at 19,
Wow.
the Tonight Show.
Oh my God.
Then he gets the sitcom, and it's top show, and he's gone at 22. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absurd.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, as much as we wanted to be comedians at
Yes.
19, imagine the world being offered and given at 19. I
Yeah.
never understand how anyone comes out of that alive.
No, that's true. And you really see it in other.
Wasn't Eddie on SNL at 19? Eddie
Yes,
Murphy?
yes, he was. Right. How someone can keep it together that young.
Because no one has
having
their
that much
shit
fame.
together as a human being.
No.
You're a punk.
Yeah, no, it's really, really odd. But I tell the Tonight Show story in my book because it took me 22 times of auditioning to get on. And it really is, to me.
Yeah, we got a wow from the crow's nest. It's 100% true.
Yeah.
It's a great lesson and story of stick-to-itiveness that's necessary in this or any business.
Right, and continues to be. It's not like you stick to this and then that goes away. It's like it's the constant of show business.
And how many times during the 22 attempts along the way did you say, well, this just isn't going to happen? And the next time I'm asked to showcase, the answer is
Probably after the third time.
third time.
Yeah.
And then what about the 14th time?
It just became kind of like a private joke to myself of like, okay, I guess I'll go up for time number 14.
Right.
You know, because it just felt like, well, they're going to see me. I guess.
And it
who
was
knows?
Macaulay every time?
It was Macaulay every time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he would be very nice off stage, say hello.
Yeah, he would be nice.
Because like I went to the Tonight Show as a guest of Leno or
But you
Jerry
did
or
the
whoever.
Tonight Show, right?
Eventually,
Yes.
many times.
Yeah.
But I went there as a guest first of Jerry or Jay, and I assume
Right.
you had done the same.
Yes.
Yeah, because you always bring a couple of people with you
Right,
when you
right.
do it.
Well, people thought that I wasn't getting on because I was known as a Letterman act, but then there's always the person that breaks that. You know, Paula Poundstone did the Tonight Show along with Letterman, so there was always someone who, well, that can't exactly be the theory because of this.
And that's also somebody just making up reasons
yeah.
when they know you're ready.
Right, right.
Yeah, Macaulay would circle you, making sure you had 2 shots ready.
Yeah.
In case you did so well, Johnny said, "You know what? I want that young gal back here in 2 weeks."
Yeah.
Yeah, he lived in fear. I eventually found out more than the comedians, because Carson would absolutely, on the rare occasions that he picked the wrong person,
Really?
would lose his mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting little tidbit to find out.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was not easy on Jim
Huh.
about who to book.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But Jim got a little drunk with the power of it.
and a little drunk.
A little drunk too.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
yeah. Well, no,
He's
of course.
passed away since, but
I love talking about the dead. It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing.
no, it was such a different time in that a person like that having that much power too.
Yes. Yeah, is it Marcy Klein that goes around plucking people for SNL? Is she was for a while, but there's always someone that's
Yeah.
the
Right.
scout for that show too.
Yeah.
Changing lives. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about you being in the wings of the Oscars and in the dressing room with the presenters trying to help them through their anxiety or the enjoyment of the material. Let's go through our very own Oscar ballot right now,
Okay,
shall we?
good. I'm happy
Would
to.
you like to?
I love it.
Because I need some help. I'm trying to win some money tonight.
Okay.
Let's go in the reverse order as they will.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, not editing and all that, is it?
you want to keep a documentary feature. Shall I give you the nominees?
Yeah.
Amy. Have you seen the Amy
Saw it.
Winehouse? Me
yeah,
too.
Saw it. She's very troubled.
Poor
Very
Jewess.
troubled person, yes.
Cartel Land, which I think Mike Dooman was
Don't
talking
know.
about earlier, saying it was
Don't care.
spectacular. The Look
Really?
of Silence.
Don't know.
What
care.
happened to Miss Simone?
Saw it on Netflix.
We were at the world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival. Here's my review. Still feel like I'm watching it. Don't remember a time I wasn't watching it. Is
It's
it
long,
over
yes.
yet?
It's long.
Winter of Fire, the last one. I'm going to go with Amy.
I'm going to go with Amy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The lesson of Amy is fix your problems. When you have problems, you've got to fix them.
Yeah.
Or you wind up dead.
yeah. Fix your problems.
Fix your problems.
Yeah.
Or separate yourself from toxic people.
Yes, that's a huge one. If your problems
But that's
involve
part of the
alcohol and
problem.
drugs.
Part of the problem tells you to stay with the toxic people.
Yeah. She had herself a Bobby Brown. That's all I'm going to say. Naming names. Cinematographer.
Cinematographer?
Tough year. There's
Okay.
some beautiful work
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
My dear friend, who I've worked with a couple of times, who's already won 3 or 4 of them, Bob Richardson on The Hateful Eight, the guy from Carol.
Oh, look at you. You know cinematographers.
Mad Max Fury Road. That's my favorite Mad Max movie, The Fury Road. The Revenant and Sicario. Got to be The Revenant?
I would say,
Mad Max?
look, I love Carol for 2 very big reasons. The name, obviously, title of the movie.
Really? I thought the
And
movie was devoted to you.
It's about lesbians.
Right.
So we're in my world.
Card-carrying member.
It's a beautiful movie, but here's the thing. I loved The Revenant. Is it Revenant or The Revenant?
I believe it's The Revenant, which of course means nobody knows.
No, I looked it up actually.
Oh, please tell.
It's a dead person who comes back.
Because I've asked a million people.
I know.
No,
It's-
literally a
I
million.
know, yeah.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Yeah, it's a little like using a big vocabulary word in conversation.
Yeah.
People are like, no, that's true. What the fuck is he talking about?
And talk about stick-to-itiveness, if I may, again, come back to you and your book.
Yes.
When I got to 900,000 people of asking if they know what the Revenant
means,
I felt like I'd asked enough.
You really?
I stuck it out
That's
to
where
a
you
million.
gotta know. You gotta keep going the extra mile, Kevin Pollak.
That's right.
I am a huge Revenant fan. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant, and I think it deserves really
Everything.
mostly everything.
Yeah. It's one of those movies also, I'm watching it, and as an actor, I'm thinking, not doing that, not doing that, not doing that.
I'm like, what?
I'm not
You mean
doing anything.
like, I'm not going in the
anything-
snow?
I'm not doing any of the things that these actors are being asked to do. And they've devoted this time in their lives
Right.
to doing.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And especially Leo DiCaprio, this guy who lives this life, the ultimate pussy hound,
Yeah.
living it up.
Yeah.
Right? Clubs. Here he is in St. Bart's. Here he is with this model, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
put on, can you go into this horse carcass and live there for at least 6 or 7 scenes?
Knowing you're going to get shit from Star Wars nerds because it rips off when Han Solo rips open
Does it?
Tauntaun.
Oh.
the what is it called?
Tauntaun.
Yeah, content and throws in lube.
Oh.
Yeah, there's all kinds of this stuff.
I turned to Joe and we saw it with J-Mac, and I elbowed him. I was like, Tauntaun.
Tauntaun. Ripped open a
And he
tauntaun.
went, yes.
You did.
Yeah, a little behind the scenes interesting
Yeah.
tidbit from a crew member.
Okay, lay it on me.
Leo and the director
Yeah.
at each other's throats pretty much every day,
Really?
which to both of their professional credit, certainly Leo, who's done most of the talking, doing nothing but grandstanding and giving this director credit at the Golden Globes and everywhere, saying
Wow.
this is all his vision. It was a pleasure to serve him every day. and,
Uh-huh.
yeah, pro to the end. And a guy like Leonardo, I don't know him. I'm not going to call him Leo, has done an incredible body of work. And I don't, it's one of those things like Redford or Newman. They just don't get the credit because they're so damn pretty
Yeah,
and
yeah.
live the life of
Right,
magic
right.
that they're never going to get the respect for being. Conversely, in my opinion, the fact that this is Stallone's for a career
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Sorry, not a career in acting.
Okay.
What career in acting are we talking about?
Can we switch categories quickly? Who is he up against? Because I would like him
Genius
to win.
actors.
Oh, really?
Genius actors. Christian Bale in The Big Short. Tom Hardy in The Revenant. Are you kidding me? You don't even recognize that that's Tom
Yeah,
Hardy.
Right.
Mark Ruffalo in Spotlight.
Yeah.
Magnificent. He might carry the film if you ask me. And then Mark Rylance, the other guy in Bridge of Spies, who also carries the film.
Wow.
Those are actors.
Yeah.
Stallone has had a gigantic, iconic career, but not because he's a great actor.
Yeah.
No. When you give Alan Arkin a career based on his entire Oscar based on his entire career, it's because he's been a brilliant actor his entire career.
So who do you think is going to take it then tonight?
Well, as I fill out my ballot, because I have to go who's going to
Are you
win,
gonna,
not
do I
with
get
who
one,
I
or
think.
you just the holder of the ballots?
I'm going to tell you. Well, you can go through them.
No, I mean, do I get my own ballot
Well,
to take home? Oh, you just did one. He just printed one.
I can make you a copy. There's a copy
Here's
machine
your-
here.
No, that's fine.
I've ruined everything. So let's go through. So do you give it to Stallone? Now, by the way, I'm picking who's going to win. I'm not picking who
Okay.
I want.
Yeah.
I actually
No,
think they're
I'm-
going to give it to Stallone, and I'm going to yell on the screen at the TV.
I don't think they'll give it to him.
They gave it to Marissa Tomei. Weird shit happens.
Yeah. I think they're going to give it to Tom Hardy.
Well, that would make me happy. Mark Ruffalo would make me happy. Mark Rylance from
I didn't
the
like Spotlight. Spotlight was the biggest snore bore movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't even make it through the
It's
whole
it's not as compelling as it should be.
No.
Whereas
it's
The
a
Big
great-
Short to me is wildly compelling.
Yes, that was
About an
really,
even more boring subject.
Yeah.
The subject matter in Spotlight is incredibly important and deserves a movie.
Incredibly important, but
Yeah.
it was bad. I did not like that movie.
Pack a lunch.
And Adam McKay, props to him.
Unbelievable props to
Yeah,
him.
a comedy director,
He made
co-writing and directing that.
arguably a boring subject matter that we know what happens.
Right.
And unfairly entertaining. It's entertaining from beginning to end.
Yes.
And the performances are ridiculous. Pretty Boy, as the sort of sarcastic prick,
Brad Pitt?
the other Pretty Boy from the Mouseketeers. Everyone loves this guy.
What are you talking about?
You know me.
Ryan Gosling.
Oh.
You didn't know he was a Mouseketeer?
I thought you were,
forgot.
girl. I was like, you're like, everybody loves him. He was a Mouseketeer. I'm like, Justin Timberlake wasn't in that movie.
Yeah,
I
there's
couldn't
another
pull
fine
it. I was
example
like,
of
what?
Mouseketeers. But Ryan Gosling, unbelievable actor, by the way, who's not going to get credit for a very long time
Yeah.
because he's too damn pretty.
Yeah.
I think
he's amazing.
very gifted.
Yeah,
actor.
what was that? Trees in the Woods or something?
Yes.
Whatever.
Something.
Yeah.
Place Among the Pines.
Yeah.
Right? Is that
he
it?
was.
Call in now if you know the
Amazing.
answer.
Yeah.
Best
That
actress.
was the movie. There was 3 movies in one.
Yes.
It was like the scenes from an Italian restaurant of movies.
Yeah. That's exactly right. What a pull. Actress in a leading role, Kate Blanchett from the aforementioned Carol.
She shouldn't win, but she won't.
Brie Larson, Room. Jennifer Lawrence, Joy.
She shouldn't win, but she will.
Brie
Yeah,
Larson.
there I said it.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson, I think it was a really good performance. That movie too, I'm sorry, was the most brilliant movie for the first hour of it. And then when it switches to, spoiler alert,
The Great Escape.
yeah, then it becomes a Lifetime movie. I've never seen a movie that was as brilliant and compelling as it was and then turned into a Lifetime movie.
I
said it.
I kept waiting for the score from Pirates of the Caribbean to kick in. Dun, 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 dun. Jennifer Lawrence, Joy. Not
No.
a joy.
No.
As a film.
No.
Not a joy.
No, it's not
That
good.
was one of those movies where I was like, okay, now I know this person's story. Didn't know if I cared to know their story.
How did this movie get made?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
right.
Why did this great filmmaker decide that subject? And I don't blame Jennifer Lawrence
Great
for saying
cast too.
yes, and everyone's saying yes to him because he's a brilliant filmmaker.
Yeah.
But this is the story we're going to tell?
No, that's true. When I'm putting my shirt back on its huggable hanger, I'm not thinking, what is the story behind
How did this happen? What is...
Tell me about the woman who made this hanger that I'm putting my shirt on.
Charlotte Rampling for 45 years, a perfect example of The Joy is being nominated.
Yeah. I mean, has anybody seen 45 Years?
No one's seen it. She's a great
Can't get
actress.
the screener of it.
I love-
I've asked.
I love that she got nominated and no one saw the film. That speaks volumes to her talent and
It
brilliance. And then lastly, the brilliant young Irish actress whose first name I can never
Oh,
pronounce.
Schreier?
Sure, that's the one from Brooklyn. She's spectacular.
She should win. She should really, really win.
It's a-
That's my vote.
Yes. It's all
Or
in the...
Kate Blanchett because of the obvious Carol.
I thought
connection.
Kate was a little arch.
Really?
I thought the choice of a brilliant actress to be almost melodramatic at every turn was arch for me.
Okay.
Let's go to actress in a supporting role. Jason Leigh, The Hateful Eight.
Didn't see it.
It's spectacular. She's spectacular. Won't win. Rooney Mara from Carol. A front runner.
Maybe.
A front runner.
Maybe. Is she a front runner?
She is a front runner.
Okay.
One of two.
Yeah, I'm sure Kate
Think it's gonna
Blanchett
go to the
is
other one.
Rooting for her too.
Rachel McAdams, Spotlight. Not a chance. Wonderful actress.
Yeah, that really, please.
Yeah. Kate Winslet,
I don't get that nomination.
I don't
Steve
either.
Jobs.
Steve
I think
Jobs.
she was like the weakest. I honestly think she was the weakest thing in that movie.
She was the weakest link in that movie.
Well, it's a beautifully written conversation film. It's just
Yeah.
a series of conversations.
That movie would have made a good stage play.
Yeah, I would prefer it as a stage play. And here's your winner, in my opinion, Alicia Vikander from the Danish Girl.
Yes.
Ex Machina,
Right.
however you say that. Those two performances together is why she's going to win for,
I just
for
heard,
the Danish
Kevin,
Girl.
an interesting interview on the Howard Stern show with, the guest was Mr. Skin, who, has that website where it's the naked parts of all these. I didn't realize that she's been naked in so many movies before this, Alicia, whatever her name is. And I think that's a credit to her and to the business that you can, gals, you can be naked a lot in movies and still be taken seriously.
Hey, high
That's it for
five,
the
everybody.
podcast.
Hey, gals out there, if you can learn anything from
99.
Carol's book, How to Succeed
Right, that's the new tip.
in
That's in the
Business
sequel.
Without Really Crying, learn this. You can
Yeah.
be naked these days.
Right, and go on to Oscar glory.
Speaking of which, Bryan Cranston, leading role for Trumbo.
Bryan Cranston, amazing. Know him from Seinfeld when he was Tim Watley the dentist.
Yes. By the way, we're going to cut this
recently
short
went
so
to
we
dinner
can
with
get
Tim
to
Watley.
Seinfeld.
You better
George
get to
Costanza.
Seinfeld
Yeah.
soon because I got to get home for my Oscar beautifying.
This is over
situation.
in 17 minutes.
Okay.
17.
17 minutes is all you got.
Right, if you're
Matt
timing
Damon,
it.
Matt Damon, the Martian, carries the film on his back. Loved the film,
Great.
and he's
Performance.
spectacular.
But not
Again,
Oscar worthy.
no one has a chance against Leonardo this year. Michael Fassbender and Steve Jobs. Why?
Right.
Because he's a great actor. Yes. Eddie Redmayne, brilliant. Can't win 2 years in a row.
You know
Sorry.
why Leo has to win?
Because he was brilliant, and he's had a.
Yes, but
Also-
think about this.
Here we go.
Look at the amount of pussy he gets now. Pre-Oscar. Can you imagine now Oscar?
Do you see an uptick?
Oh my God!
Really?
Yes, the pussy.
How can there be an uptick?
The pussy number has gone. It's off the chart.
I'm suggesting there cannot be an uptick when you're already at the apex.
He was on the cover, I think, like Rolling Stone. Always been on the cover of everything, but I think it was this Rolling Stone cover recently, and it said like Leonardo DiCaprio changing the world or something like that. And then I edited it and I wrote one supermodel at a time.
Yes, exactly. It is absurd. It is truly absurd.
Yeah.
And the wolf pack and the tattoo that he and the guy share.
Yeah.
Oh, God. And then also
Yeah.
trying to save the world, as they were writing about in that article, with his efforts,
He has very good efforts.
whether it's fresh water for this
Right.
country or.
environment.
I love when they get involved and don't stand on a pulpit.
Uh-huh.
I really do. I love
Yeah.
when they actually. I like that Sean Penn was the first guy in a boat in New Orleans at Katrina before the government.
Yes.
I really do.
Care about
For
something.
all the fuck up things that these people also
Right.
do,
Right.
when you actually put your money and body where your mouth is.
Yes.
Something I would never do.
Right. And the people that are naysayers, I know this because I'm a big animal person. A lot of times I get, oh, you really want to devote your causes to animal? What about people things? Then when you stop and you talk to them, what do you care about? And usually the answer is nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell?
Nothing.
I'm going to go to your categories: adapted screenplay and original screenplay. You ready?
Interesting, yes.
Adapted
what I'm gonna
screenplay:
pick-
Room, The Martian, Carol, Brooklyn, The Big Short.
Well, I'm on the fence here because I loved Carol and I think it was a great screenplay written by a woman, Phyllis somebody.
That's an Irish name, by the way.
Phyllis somebody
Such a fan.
knows what she's doing.
Such a fan.
But
Yeah.
Brooklyn was an interesting book that was made into a brilliant screenplay, which is not easy to do. So those are my two.
Are either of them your guess for what's going to win?
I think maybe, is The Martian you said nominated?
Yeah.
Maybe The Martian.
I'm going to go with The Big Short because it's not going to win Best Picture.
Oh.
So then,
I forgot about Big Short. Rewind. Yeah, no, that's what's going to win. Of course. I forgot about that.
original screenplay:
Okay.
Bridge of Pies,
Right.
Ex Machina. Its only fucking nomination, by the way, which is insane.
I never saw it. Would I like it?
Yes.
Okay. You sure? And Alicia Van de Kimber is naked in it, right?
Ex Machina was my favorite movie of the year for like the first 8 months of the
Until you saw Hateful Eight.
2015.
Wow.
I think Hateful Eight ended up being my favorite movie last year.
Inside Out, the animated features are up for original screenplay,
Uh-huh.
which is a pretty great screenplay for an animated film. Straight Outta Compton, two white Jewish
Plate
guys.
out of Compton. Do you feel like having ribs on your plate out of Compton might be a little racist?
I was going to say on the
Soul
nose.
food. It's just
Two
soul
on the
food.
nose.
Oscar's party so white.
By the way, it's only racist.
Hashtag.
By the way, it's only racist because a white person is suggesting there be ribs on the plate. If you polled 100
Right.
African Americans, they would say there better be fucking ribs on the plate. Is that crazy?
No, that's
I
true.
think fried chicken would be way more.
Yes. See?
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the political correct thing that makes us crazy. And please tell me it's making you crazy too.
It is crazy.
Yeah. That's why this season of South Park was so brilliant, because they went after the PC nonsense with a vengeance. Yeah.
Woo woo.
Woo woo. Spotlight is the original screenplay that I predict is going to win. I'm sorry.
I just realized during your podcast what my big problem is with Spotlight. It's the wrong title. Spotlight is a movie that stars Cher, Gaga, or someone, Mariah Carey.
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny in Spotlight. It's not a movie about priests molesting people. Wrong title.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't like it.
Got stuck in my head. Overture, light the lights. Bugs Bunny.
What did the Jewish pedophile say?
What, Kevin?
Hey, go easy on the candy. Now, the reason I love that joke is that it's not a disturbing joke about pedophilia, which should not have jokes. It's straight up Jew joke.
Yes. That is hysterical. Oh my God, do you do that in your act?
No, it's a joke.
Oh, all right.
It's from the
I
street.
would vote for that.
Tell your dad. Oh, too late.
Yeah,
sorry.
too late.
Mine too. That's one of Jamie's favorite jokes. Kevin, it's Father's Day.
Go easy on the candy.
Too late.
Wow.
Too soon. Okay. Let's get to those wonderful years of Seinfeld during our last 15 minutes. So
Is it 15? Because my watch says 10.
11. It's 11 minutes. So we've already established your coming up with Jerry and Larry. They're putting together writers who haven't
Written on sitcoms
been on
before.
staff.
Yes,
So
yes.
tell us about, because I just think that's spectacular. And I don't
Yeah.
think a lot of people knew that you talk about.
Yeah, well, it was very thrilling at the time to get a phone call out of the blue from Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. And I knew something was up because it's like, why are they calling me together? I talked to them individually. Why am I getting called together? And they asked me to write on the show. And it was specifically because they wanted, especially Larry David felt that other writers who came up through the system would be corrupted. So they wanted kind of fresh blood. So
Yeah.
it really was to my advantage that I'd never written on a sitcom before.
Yeah.
So that was a great, but I also write about in my book, which I think is important in show business, as you know, Kevin, for someone who's been around a long time, which is a great thing and a great achievement. I write about the easy hang. The easy hang. You also, in show business, need to be someone who people like to hang out with, because especially in a writer's room, you're there for hours on end for a long time. So I encourage people that want to be in show business to work on their people skills too, because as great a writer as you might be or writing jokes, you also are going to be with people.
Yeah.
So have good people skills. And I know that Jerry and Larry also hired people they like to hang around.
That's exactly right. One of the great pieces of advice you give in the book also, that you should speak to if you would, is people assuming, and have for many years now, if you want to be a writer on a sitcom, write a spec script about your favorite show.
Yes.
You give this left turn advice I'd never heard before, which is instantly obvious.
I always tell people you're exactly that. They tell you to write a spec script. I think your odds of being a new person in show business and writing a spec script and getting on a show staff are 0%, 0.00. What I tell people is any show you want to write for,
Right.
take the lowest job available on that show. They're always looking for runners, for work for free, take the lowest level job there is.
Get in the room.
And that's exactly, get in the room, and that has led to so many people that I know becoming giant comedy writers.
Yeah. Let's hear it for Bill. He started as a runner here. We're doing this week's script is Bill's. How many times have you heard that in a room?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So just get in at the bottom floor, wherever you want to be, because I've seen it over and over.
It's the studio head who started in the mailroom
Yes,
at the agency.
exactly.
There's
And
no different.
That's,
I just thought that was instantly obvious, and I hadn't ever heard before.
well,
That's what been telling my niece is turning 18 soon, and she had to decide like what she wants to do, go to college or whatever. And now she's going to a makeup and effects school because that's what she wanted to do. And I'm like, the younger you do it, the better chance you have of like not having to like hustle
Right.
when you're 30.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Also, I think you have some famous questions to ask.
Yes. Thank you for reminding me of that. This is very, very important.
okay.
We have a segment on the show called Famous Questions. I would have killed myself if I didn't get to these because
All right.
famous questions are not questions that are famous. They are questions from famous people that you know.
Interesting.
I reached out to 3 famous people that you know.
Okay.
They offered up these questions
For me?
for you. You will then guess
Wow.
who wrote them.
Okay.
Number 1. I was at her wedding to her longtime partner, Lori. It was beautiful. Has anything changed between the two of them now that it's legal?
Wow.
Also, same person, when you were working with Bill Maher, Larry David, and Jerry Seinfeld, all of whom you're still friends with, did any of them hit on you? Which one of your friends that was at your wedding that's famous would have written both of those questions?
I bet you it was Larry David.
Nope.
No.
Would you care to answer the first one?
What was the first
Has
one?
anything changed between the two of you now that it's legal?
Yes. Lori and I been together for 19 years, and we just got married in December, which is quite astonishing. And we did it just because it's like, come on already, it's ridiculous.
Yes.
It's different. It's really different. It's really better.
Yeah.
It's made us closer as a couple, which is so odd after 19 years.
It is
It's
strange.
different. It's different and better, and I'm really glad we did it. And we keep looking at each other like, well, why didn't we do this sooner? But, things,
It was too easy to make fun of it, and it also didn't seem important.
yeah. So it's been great.
Yeah. That was Jane Lynch,
Jane Lynch, look at that. Wow.
the Unstoppable.
She is amazing.
She
is a
came
great,
back to work. I was working with her at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
At the time of your wedding, and she came back from that weekend and wouldn't shut up
Wow.
about how beautiful. and
Oh,
wonderful
that's
the
so
wedding was.
nice.
Yeah.
We really did it the way that we wanted to do it. We wanted it. I like when I go to a wedding or anything, a bar mitzvah or something, where people talk to each other, not that's officiated and they don't say anything. So we did vows, we wrote things to each other. I made sure at the tables that the flowers were low.
So people could see each other?
Yeah, because I can't stand when I go to things and I'm,
Yeah.
Artie Johnson, a joke you'll get and nobody else will.
Very interesting, but stupid.
And Jane is a great, fun wedding guest.
Yes, she will make friends with a wall.
Dancing and,
Yeah.
really into it. So I give her a lot of props back.
Okay, I will
What
reach
was your
out to you.
two-parter? Yeah.
I will reach out to you when she's a guest, and you'll write one of
Okay.
these.
I'm happy to.
This next one, sadly, you've already answered, but I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
What was the trilogy of new regulars at the comic strip in 1977?
Did she ask that?
No, this is a new friend.
It's a new
friend
one.
number 2.
Oh, what was the trilogy of new regulars? This
Friend
guy-
number 2 wrote, "What was the trilogy of new regulars at the comic
I
strip
answered
in
that right. It was
1977?"
Paul Reiser and Rich Hall, and I bet you Paul Reiser wrote that question.
No, you're no good at this
I'm
game.
not. Who was
Your
it?
pal Jerry Seinfeld.
You're kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
I also love the story in your book. Your dad had a fall, and Jerry's generosity
Yes.
almost cost your dad an extended stay.
That's right.
Oh my. Let's get to number 3 first.
Okay.
Friend number 3 asks, Carol's wedding was beautiful and touching and filled with humor. Did she have a big writing staff?
That's hysterical.
Also, there's same friend, there's an expression, the honeymoon is over. How do you know if and when the honeymoon is over? And technically, how do you know when it started? Finally, what's the rush? I guess that attributed to the 19 years.
Right.
Much love to you both. That's friend number 3.
What's that?
Tough.
Yeah.
Maybe the hint was, did you have a writing staff?
Was it Larry David?
Gary Shandling.
Gary Shandling.
You had questions from Jane Lynch, Jerry Seinfeld, and Gary Shandling.
That's amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's really, really.
But your wedding list must have been, because you're just friends with what have become.
Yes.
People
yes.
you started with, but
I
what
know.
have become.
And what was really thrilling was the New York Times wrote a vows column about our wedding. So that was pretty cool too.
As a writer.
Yes. We have a writing staff. You know, Gary, I wrote on Gary's show, and we've remained friends since.
Larry
of
Sanders?
course, I knew him as a stand-up before that. But, you know, the feedback that we've gotten about the wedding was, going back to that, we really did it the way we wanted. I said, we're going to walk into music that we like Lori, what music do you want to walk down to? I tried to push her to a Beatles song. She was like, I want to walk down to All of My Love by Led Zeppelin. I was like, well, do you want? That's what I want to walk down.
It's a great title.
Are you sure to Turned out to be the greatest move ever. She walked down first. It set the tone. If you remember the song, it's like, it just was perfect and set a great tone for that. And then I wanted to walk down to Till There Was You by the Beatles, Paul McCartney singing it. We just did everything the way we wanted to. I wrote something, talking to each other. She wrote something. It just was, I tell anybody who's out there with their wedding, because you get advised by wedding planners and things, do this and just do whatever the fuck you want, and that will be the best wedding ever. And it turned out to be amazing.
Good. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anyone that's ever said that about their wedding.
I know, and I had such a panic attack the week of it, because it's like, what if this sucks and we throw a bad wedding, which is,
it's exactly what the two of us want.
Yeah,
right? We
but what
will
if
have
it's
accomplished
bad?
that. And what if everyone goes, okay, so that's what they wanted.
Right.
You gonna get the car?
Yeah. And we've all been to bad weddings where
Oh.
you're looking around like, this is not working.
Yeah. Although I don't know that I've been to a funny person's wedding that
Really?
wasn't wonderful.
Okay.
Like the Matt Myra recently, and before that,
Joe and Beth's wedding
Joe and
was
Beth,
so much fun.
Joe Latrulio,
And Beth Dover.
I don't
formerly
know them.
Beth Dover.
But
Yeah.
that was, because they didn't even, their wedding party was just like his brother and her sister, I
Yeah,
think.
but the vows they exchanged were
And
funny.
and they were funny. And
Oh,
then,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vows are really important, and make them funny, and
And they're classy people. They're very classy. Her dress was gorgeous.
Yeah. You did have a gorgeous dress. I saw a photo, actually.
oh, thank
It's
you.
a beautiful dress.
I did have a nice dress.
Who were you wearing? That question will be asked tonight.
Yes.
Do you want to tell the story about Jerry's
I do.
generosity that almost
I do.
cost your dad?
I do.
Yeah. An extended stay? This is pretty great.
Well, my dad.
You're in LA, you get a phone call.
Yeah, then my dad took a fall outside the house on Long Island. Bad enough fall that he hit his head and had some dementia. I was a wreck about it. Actually, Jerry happened to call me. I told him what was going on. He said, you're in luck. I'm leaving tonight, tomorrow morning to go to New York. Come with me.
On my private plane.
jet, which no one should begrudge him ever, because he's worked so hard and every ounce of sweat is in that private jet.
Oh no, the first time you have too much money, you that's what you do. you have to remove your life at the airport.
Right.
That's what you have to do.
So, and it was amazing. He said, you will go to New York, we'll get you a car, take you to Long Island and see your dad, it'll be great. We go on the plane, you've been on a private jet, he got lox and bagels from Nate and Al's. It was fantastic, really cheered me up. Get to New York, car takes me to Long Island, I go to Winthrop Hospital, which is in Mineola, where my dad was. And I get the encouraging news, and my dad is pretty lucid. I see him, he's, the dementia really seems to be gone. He's doing great. I go back home that night with my mom, sleep at their house, and I feel much better about my dad's situation. I go back to the hospital the next day. I run into the nurse in the hall. I say, hey, how's my dad doing today? She said, oh, not too good. I said, you're kidding. I was just here yesterday.
And he was
great.
doing much better.
Lucid. She said, no, the dementia's back. I said, you're kidding. What happened? She said, I don't know. He woke up this morning talking about his daughter flew in on Jerry Seinfeld's private jet, eating lox and bagels at 30,000 feet.
So clearly, he's having dementia
Yes,
again.
yes.
Was the nurse's straight face?
Absolutely, yeah. She thought
And
he
how
was-
quickly did you say, you idiot?
that
actually-
followed. That followed, yeah. No, you don't understand. That actually happened. Yeah.
That's the kind of juice my
take him
dad
off the
has.
meds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. But
Yeah.
it's what I love about,
The generosity of friends.
The generosity of friends. I mean, we go back with some really great people who,
Yeah.
no matter how big and famous they become or how rich they become, they're just still the same person that you took the bus with cross town to go to this club or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, James L. Brooks now plays in my weekly poker game quite often, and it's astonishing how uncomfortable he gets if anyone talks about money.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Because he's just old school in terms of modesty, and one doesn't talk about
Uh-huh. Interesting.
that.
But it's
Right.
really cute whenever he has to like settle up at the end of the night and he just pulls out like those sacks with dollar signs on them. He pays up. That's so cute.
Yeah. He brings a couple of those. Kaboom. Yeah, and one time, Jason Reitman, a wonderful director who's I think only played in the game once, but happened to be at a time when, and they know each other really, really well. And for some reason during the game, Reitman took it upon himself to IMDb Jim Brooks and said, Jim, it says here you have 19 Emmys? Is that possible? And Jim, again, the most modest person in
Right.
the world, just went, I think it's more. Without, just,
Yeah.
and the innocence of that was why we love him.
Amazing.
All
right, I've
why we
signed
love
my
you.
release.
Sign the release, which means you're allowed to leave. Please, folks, do yourself a solid and get a copy of
Yeah.
How to Succeed in Business
Pick up
without
my
really
book.
crying.
Come on.
It's just hilarity from beginning to end, and I also love at the end of each chapter you actually do give advice, not just a great funny anecdote, wonderful story,
Advice you're not going to get
and advice you're not going to get.
from anybody else.
And I love that you also say in the prologue, this is the book that I wish someone would have given me when I was starting out. And so in terms of an accomplishment, along with sharing stories and getting quotes from famous people, just the idea that you could help someone who is starting out and wildly interested with their head,
It's what I want to do, Kevin.
Yeah. Well, there's one last thing you have to do.
What's that?
You've not seen the show, so you're unfamiliar, but we end each show with something called the Larry King game.
Okay.
And it'll take seconds and you'll be out of here.
All right.
So I still, to this day, love, even though we're going to be 7 years old in a couple of weeks as a show, the 260th interview.
Mazel.
Mazel indeed, I still love that when Larry was on, before he went to the phones, he would look into the barrel of the camera and share something about himself, about his opinion, that no one cared about.
Okay.
So you're reenacting that moment. To
Right.
play the Larry King game, I want a bad Larry King impression, so no pressure to
Okay.
do a good one.
Right.
I want a bad Larry King impression, because that
Yeah.
makes me laugh.
Okay.
And then as Larry, share something that Larry would share about himself.
All right.
And then go to the phone. And if the name of the city you go to is funny sounding,
Yeah.
it's a nice little button. There's your camera. When you're ready,
But do I share something about myself?
nope.
No, that
As Larry about Larry, make it
Okay.
up. His first ride on a pterodactyl,
All right,
whatever.
Right. All right. I forgot. Do I pick up on a thing?
Can.
Okay. Tulsa, you're on the line. But first, let me tell you a little something about myself. When I go, as I've gotten older, a little bit gets on my pants. Omaha! Hello, how are you? What's
So you
going
gave up
on?
on Tulsa. and went
Yeah, I
back.
gave up. Tulsa was a bad call.
That's how you play the Larry King game, and that's your
Okay.
a multi-award nominated. Carol
Nominated,
Leifer.
yes.
They love to point that out.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
My
Long
pleasure.
overdue,
Thank you.
and actually got you
I
out of
know.
here
I get to
almost
beautify
perfectly
for the
on time.
Oscars.
Thank you again, and those of you at home, follow us on the Twitter, on the Facebook that someone, wonderful Corey Levin, keeps after for us and keeps in great shape. You go to there to find out about the upcoming shows. I want to thank the crew, Samantha Ward, who did the beautifying with the makeup. Our own evil Dr. Kenny Chen here on the floor, the director on the floor. Up there in the crow's necks, we got the Mike Duman and the Jason McIntyre, both doing some wonderful, Jason on the research and McIntyre, that is, Jason on the research, and Mr. Duman on the post show. Again, go, 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 don't be afraid. The 260 shows, first time we've had guests leave during the closing comments. But that's why we love her. No, you gotta go, you gotta go. And let me tell you something, folks. We gotta go. As always, and until next time with Jane Lynch, get out of my face.